So we have a central student services hub at the university. So that is serving as a one-stop shop for any support that you need with any sort of areas of student life, whether that's academic support, careers, or student sort of health and wellbeing. What we would recommend, if you ever have any questions at all, to come to the hub as the first instance. They have a triaging system where they can make sure that you speak to one of our hub assistants and they can make sure you get to the right place as quickly as possible. They are located on the ground floor of Campus Central, which is sort of a main point on the campus. So you can always access that as in between classes, or if you're ever on campus with some free time, you can head over to the hub and chat to someone there and then. But also, if you need to ever access any support throughout the holidays or while you're off campus or even at the weekend, they also run a live chat system as well. So you can get in touch with the hub whether you're on campus or you're at home. In terms of support around this, the university also has access to a 24/7 mental health and wellbeing service called Spectrum Life as well. So that can be used sort of externally to the university support services, and that gives you access to a wellbeing advisor or to access counselling at any time as well. As I said, the hub is sort of the central service just there, but I'll talk about some of the key points for you to access. If you are thinking about before you start your course and you have an additional support need, you have a long-term health condition or a disability, we would recommend getting in touch with our accessibility and inclusion service within the Student Services Hub as soon as possible. They can set up a pre-entry visit with you, so that can make sure that you've got the right support in place for the start of your course. They can also help with testing for things like dyslexia, if you are concerned that you might have a learning difference but you've not got a formal diagnosis. And they can also help you to access funding for any equipment or adjustments that you might require to support that transition to university as well. When you start your course, you'll get a personal tutor, and that's someone who is an academic member of staff, and they will be your point of contact throughout your degree, but you'll receive that in the sort of start of your course. You won't receive that in advance. And they're there for any sort of academic support and as an academic point of contact, but can also provide pastoral support as and when you need that. And your personal tutor should stay the same for the duration of your degree. Another service just to highlight is the single point of contact service. So that is for any student who is care experienced, who is a young student who's estranged from their family, or who has unpaid caring responsibilities. That's one sort of member of staff within the student services team who would be there as your point of contact for any flexibility, any support, or any discretionary funding that you need to access in relation to your sort of care experience, estrangement or caring responsibilities. What we would recommend if you are registering for this service is that you will need some evidence just to support your status. This can be a letter from a professional, a lecturer from college, someone you work with, or a service that you've worked with, such as a carer centre or an advocacy charity. So if you are willing to access this service, it may be worth over the summer just getting that documentation together, just so you can register for that support as soon as possible. There is also the general money advice team to highlight too. They administer our discretionary funding. That can also sometimes include childcare support as well. And they can have appointments booked with them to discuss any concerns or budget inquiries, etc., and making sure that you've accessed sort of your full entitlement to funding. In terms of academic support, I think the other thing to highlight as well is that they will run things before you start your degree. So it is worth just keeping an eye out for sessions that they run. They will advertise things through Canvas, which is our virtual learning environment. They also have different events that take place on campus, but they also have a really extensive blog. So they have different recommendations on referencing, different study skills. So even if you're not able to access the VLE at this stage, you can still read those blogs publicly on the website, and they've got information about revision, different skills and things like that to get prepared for. Something we would highlight at Stirling is that most of your assessments will be coursework based, so there'll be essays, group projects, etc. But some modules do have some exam assessment, so it is worth checking sort of with each module to see what the actual assessment requirements will be, and then you can sort of prepare the skills that you need suited to the style of assessment that that module will be undertaken. If you're ever unsure about the module style, the assessment style within a certain module, on the course page for the degree that you want to study, you can see all of the modules required for that course in each year. And if you click onto the module name, you'll be able to see the assessment style. So you'll be able to see if it's 50% coursework, 50% group project, or 50% exam, etc. You can see sort of what skills that you'll need to prepare for that module as well. I think the main thing to take away with student support is that there is extensive support available, but it does require students to be a little bit proactive. There's no shame in asking for help. The service is there to support you, and we want to know when things aren't going right so we can make sure you've got that support in place to succeed. Whether you speak to sort of a personal tutor, someone in the student support hub, or someone you have sort of an extensive point of contact with, such as a learning advisor, an accessibility advisor, or the single point of contact, they will make sure that you get the right appropriate support that you need, and we are here to help. So please do reach out if you have any queries at all, or if you're not sure. The services are there to support you.